Hello everyone, Spirit of Haunting here. Thanks so much for clicking on this video, and you probably already realized that something looks a little bit different. So, in today's video, I'm going to be trying something kind of experimental. So this is a repair video of the Gemmy animated Santa Homer Simpson, but what I'm trying to do is use a GoPro instead of the usual tripod setup. That way it's kind of like a first-person point of view of the repair, and you can really see what's going on. Instead of, like me playing it and then stopping it, this time it's on my head, and you should be able to mostly see everything that's going on. So really, this is an experimental video. I don't know how it's going to look until I actually upload it and look at the video. So I don't know how well it's actually going to turn out. So I don't know if the camera quality might not be as good. It should be filming on 1080 Super View. So hopefully it turns out alright, and hopefully the angle is okay. It's on a head mount and I can move it, it's just hard to tell. So please absolutely comment what you think of this. Is this a good idea? Should I keep doing it? It may be something technical like, oh, maybe you need less light or something. Everything like that is appreciated. So in this video, we're going to be repairing the mouth on the Homer Simpson. So this is the first generation model, because the head barely moves at all, and it's not because it's broken or unsynchronized. No, that's actually how it was made. It does not move very often, and when it does, it's either over here or over here. There's only two options to that. Hips work fine, head works fine. I thought it was broken at first until I realized it was the first generation. And the arms work fine. This one was popped out, but all I had to do was actually just pull up the shirt, stick it in, and now it doesn't slip down anymore. So
we wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. And we wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a really happy Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a happy Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas.
yeah, you get the idea. So we're gonna go ahead and do a repair on the mouth. So the first thing, of course, is to just pull out the mouth like that. And of course I dropped it, and it's already out in good shape. Little crack in there, but that's nothing to be too worried about. So the next thing that has to be done with these is you have to actually take off the head, of course. And to do that, there's two staples back here, and those staples have to be removed. So I usually do that with a flathead screwdriver and just kind of pull them on out. If I can, I'm going to pull them out part way and not all the way. That way I can get them fully back in. Because if you take them out all the way, like I've done with some of my pop culture figures, you can't get them back in. And of course, and that one comes out. So that's what the staple looks like when it's out. So we should just be able, maybe not yet. Once the staples are out, oh, that one came out too. Oh well, it's alright. It'll be tucked behind the... Should be able to pull the head off, unless it's glued on, which there's a chance of that. Or is it one molded piece? If it's one molded piece, that's going to be a bit of a problem, but it doesn't appear to be. So you should just be able... Maybe it is one molded piece. If that's the case... Oh, there it comes. Yeah, there it is. Ooh, hoo, hoo, hoo. Now that's interesting. So we have the head off, of course. And now here we have the head mount, which is actually secured together by four screws. So I'm going to go ahead and do, of course, is take out those screws. That way I can get to the motor, because the motor is also not running. There's nothing on the string for the motor to work in the first place. and there's also no motor noise from what I have heard so far. Now that's actually very common on these pop culture-ish figures, anything really that has a drawstring mouth movement. So like you can see that James Brown back there is something I started to work on, but then his mouth actually cracked in way too many places. So that's on hold for right now. So what happened right there is that a screw just fell down the body mechanism. So that shouldn't be too big of a problem. I have some spare screws over there. That's just annoying because as much as I should get it out, I'm not about to... Oh, that one's about to go down there too. I'm not about to open up the entire body just to get a screw out. Here we go. So there's the third one. The fourth one is in there somewhere. And this thing is annoying. Is that as far as it goes out, I wonder? Oh, there we go. You can kind of unwedge it, as you can see. Oh, that sounded not that great. Alright, so there actually is something on the motor. And it appears that both wires are attached.
Maybe for once someone will call me sir without adding "you're making a scene."
But as you can see, it's not moving. So what happens then is that usually it's a good idea to spin it and try and free it up. So you can see that the mouth should be working because all the mechanism is there. So what I'm going to do is spin it a bit and try and free it up. Because sometimes these motors do get stuck. So what you do when that happens, of course, is spin it. And if that doesn't work, then the motor might be fried or you might have a bad wire. Which means you have to do an entire motor replacement or check the board if there's a wire off on there. Hopefully that's not the case. And it's just as simple as freeing it up a bit.
Merry Christmas! Oh!
And it appears that's what it is, because as you can see, we did get it start moving. So I'm going to go ahead and while I'm doing this, so it's not just me spinning a motor for quite a while, I'm going to talk about what's happening in the background that you might be curious about. So right here we have a James Brown that I mentioned earlier, had a bad mouth movement, and the mouth completely shattered. So I don't know if you can see on the GoPro where the mouth is laying there. The plastic completely shattered on it, so that's kind of on hold for now. This is something else. It's the Buck reindeer from my thrift store video. I tried to start working on it, and I got the rubber band on the motor for the wheels, but then it doesn't quite work all the way. So it's also just an awful repair. It's bad. That Bing Crosby I've had for quite some time, as if you recall from my unboxing video. I haven't worked on it in a while, and that's just because I haven't had the gear, which I might have it now. He needs a new square shaft in the head. That's from Goodwill, the monkey in the back. Nothing works on it except for sound, of course. I hear motors running. And over there we have the rare Nutcracker Duo, and I haven't worked on that because I don't have any 8-tooth gears. I need to order some of those. So let's go ahead and try this again, because I've been spinning this for a while.
The most wonderful time of the year.
Not quite. So it's not entirely freed up quite yet, it appears. And the piece seems to be in good shape overall, so I'm not worried about having to replace that now. And the string also appears to be in good shape. And this could take some time. I'm wondering if I'm going to have to put some lube on it, like a WD-40, whatever it's called, to help free it up.
Oh, jingle bells, jingle bells.
Maybe not. That was getting a little bit better. It's almost like the spring isn't quite... No, the spring's definitely strong enough. Sometimes these motors can get really stuck. I remember one of them, I think it was Dean Martin. I actually did have to put some WD-40 on it in order to keep it moving properly. Let's actually go ahead and put the mouthpiece back on, see if it goes any better. There it is.
Popcorn ball. I hope you bought a lot of quality Simpson products this Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. And we wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a
So it is getting better, but like as you saw in the Merry Christmas, it kind of stalled for a bit. So if you're wondering, the camera I'm currently using is a GoPro Hero Session. It's not the Session 5, it's the standard Session, which I think it might be equivalent of a Session 4, because they do sell a standard Session and a Hero 5 Session. Hero Session 5. And really the only difference is that the Hero Session 5 has a little bit better camera, can film in 4K, and voice control along with video stabilization. This was a Christmas present. I'm really excited to have it. Actually, both of these things were Christmas presents, but I'm really excited to have the GoPro for stuff like this too. Let's see if it's any better.
No! Humbug! Ho, 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 ho! Deck the halls with Buddy Holly, fa la 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 la. It's the season.
Oh yeah, it's getting a lot better. So as soon as this is done, we can go ahead and close it up and put the head back on, and it should be as good as new.
Merry Christmas, everyone! Hey, Marge, who drunk this antidote?
I would say that's pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and take the mouth out, because you can't put the mouth back on. Just drop the head. You can't put the mouth back on at the same time. Where did it? Oh. As putting the head on, because you simply can't fit the mouth over that hole. And that's, yeah. So it is a little bit annoying to do that, but it is something that has to be done. Now the question is getting this back in there. Let's see. I don't think that's fully in yet. Can it? Trying to do this without pulling a wire off. That would be a disappointment if that were to happen. So it's like it's not down far enough. Sorry, sometimes the actual hardest part about doing a repair is getting it back together. It's not like I don't know how it goes back together, it's just doing it. There we go. I think. Was that wire in or out? Oh, it was definitely in. There's a little slot at the bottom for it to stick out of. So we're going to slide down the wire just a little bit. Push it in there to get that. Oh, now it's on top of the screw hole. Go in. Perfect. There we go. And now, we just seal it back up. With the 4 screws. So of course, when repairing, it's always a good idea. Use the same amount of screws that you took out to put it back together. I've had instances where I can't get like a base on something all the way back in with all 4 screws. I don't know. It just doesn't line up quite right. So when that's the case, I'd put 2 in, because only 2 ever seem to fit. Now this might be tricky. Oh, see, and that's what happened last time. Except we were able to get this one back. So it would be a better idea to tilt it down. Oh, yeah, or we can turn it so I can... It's a smarter idea. sure it's sealed nice and tight. As you can see, it's still moving. So I'm going to grab another screw from over here so you guys will get to see a little bit of what my... That's where I keep all my parts. Let's see. This one should fit. So I, of course, get extra parts like the screws and stuff. What's that? It's like stalling up a bit. That's getting locked up for some reason. Is that something I'm doing?
Christmas cookies. Oh, cruel fate. Why do you mock me? There's only one. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. And we wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a really happy Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a happy Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. How about some figgy pudding? Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas to you. Good luck with that Christmas stuff and a Merry Christmas. Maybe for once someone will call me sir without adding you're making a scene. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Alright, so actually it looks fine. Sometimes when repairing stuff, of course, if you've never repaired anything before, oh shoot, not again. You'll notice little instances where something that you did might have triggered another problem, but that's just how it goes, and you have to be able to recognize that and fix it yourself. So that screw might have been a little bit big, but it's holding it together quite nicely.
Ho, ho, ho! Santa's coming.
And you can see that it's moving. So now the next step, of course, is to put the head back on, which was incredibly easy, surprisingly. Oh, except that I caught the fur in there, didn't I? I'm going to take it off and make sure we don't do that again. There we go. It's back on. Now putting the staples in, now that's a tricky part. Because you got to make sure. Get it started, and then I usually end up using a screwdriver to put it back in. Just apply some pressure to get it in. Kind of have to force it, unfortunately. That's how it goes with these. Especially when you've pulled them all the way out. Like I said before, I was going to try and keep them in. It didn't quite work out that way. I pulled a little too hard and they slipped out. But I'm not too concerned about that because they'll be kept behind what's it called? They'll be kept behind the jacket. Oh, that one went back in very nicely. Okay, so this one is just being a little harder to work with. Oh, it's because it's bent. That's why. You see that? So that's really bent up. So this one might not actually go back in very well. We'll see if we can't get it to bend back into shape. We might not be able to. I don't have a second pair of pliers with me to help stabilize this as I pry it back. It's still kind of bent, so I'll play around with it. If you watch this far into the video, thanks for continuing to watch. I don't know how long this video is going for, because I can't really tell. There's no timer on the camera when it's on the top of my head. So of course that reminds me to say once again, please, of course I'll go back and watch the video, but if you think that the camera should be at a different angle so you can see better, if there's something else that you wished you would have been able to see better, please tell me, because the camera's mounted on top of my head. I can't really see it. There is a way with the app that I have, but my phone is not on the highest battery right now. So this staple might not go back in as well as the other one did, unfortunately. Oh, it did! And there we go. Staples are back on and all the way in. Not something I've really been able to do before. Reposition the arms. Then we'll just slide the mouth back into the slot.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the day. Oh, what fun it is to ride singing Polly Wolly Doodle all day. Jingle bells, jingle all the day. Oh, what fun it is to ride to Santa Claus today. Hey! Popcorn ball.
It's getting stuck on the... Of course you have troubleshooting after when you're done.
I hope you bought a lot of quality Simpson products this Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish.
So that's interesting. It's almost as if... Because the mouth works, but when it hits the jacket...
Humbug. Ho, 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 ho.
There it is.
Deck the halls with Buddy Holly. Fa la 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 la. It's the season, jumping jolly. Fa la 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 la. Down your heavy winter jacket. Fa la 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 la. Sing like crazy, make a racket. Fa la 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 la. Merry Christmas, everyone.
So as you can see, the head motion is pretty erratic too. It only moves 2 directions and it never like stops in the middle. So he's always
Bart, we dropped this antidote.
looking off that way. But mouth works now, so I would say it's a pretty successful repair. Might be a little askew, like it looks like it's a little bit off. So that might be something I'll go back in and fix at a later time. But right now, it works. So thanks so much for watching. If you watch the entire thing, thanks a lot. Please let me know what you thought of the video and the new idea of using a GoPro for like a first-person point of view. Really excited to see what you guys think of that. So, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe.